Hello people, this is the Legoformerguy back with another video. First one of this year. Let's just hope it's not the only video of this year. This is the Aegis class mech, everyone. Okay, so this is the Aegis class mech. Now, the Aegis class mech, as its name implies, is a mech that is designed with the primary function of defense. And that is why, as you see, it's got this really kind of bulky, strong, it's got this heft to it, basically. And it's also got these shields and also extra armor plating on it. And it's got this kind of really kind of a heavy-duty helmet-looking thing. And it's got a backpack and everything. It's basically like this really kind of a heavy armor soldier. And unlike the Apollo class, the Aegis class has been around for many years. That is a testament to how strong the Aegis class really is. It's just so robust that people just keep using it. Now, let's take a look at the details first. This is the head of the mech. Now, as you can see that the head is covered in this really kind of giant, well, helmet basically. Now, what the helmet is doing is that it covers up the single ocular camera that the mech has. Now, maybe you haven't noticed, but the mech doesn't really have a windshield for the pilot to see through, so it kind of really needs that single eye, and therefore it also really kind of needs that helmet it's got. Now, furthermore, the helmet is also shaped in this wedge so that it can deliver a powerful headbutt. Now, moving on to the upper body. Now, as you can see, the main body is really kind of smooth in texture. It doesn't have a lot of greebling. Now that is because the main body is just mostly covered up in armor, really. And because the front of the mech is so smooth, all the cooling for the reactor happens in the back, in these textured bits, and also the sides in these vents. And the reactor itself is housed inside this big backpack unit. And the backpack kind of gives the mech a hunchback sort of look. I seem to be pretty good at pelvic plates. So there. I mean, look at this. This panel, it works so well in my opinion. See, I chose this panel because it's hollow on the inside so that whatever extra bulk this hip has, it would just fit in the panels. And boy, does it work really well. I mean, because of the shape, it just flows right into the legs, and I really like that. The same goes with the back. I chose this panel because it's just symmetrical with the sides, but then it just flows in with the back, and it's just so nice for some reason. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, in contrast, I did have a little more trouble with the legs, but after a little experimenting, they did turn out really rather well. Now it continues the curved theme from the hip panels, and it's nice. These stickers here, well, you could say these are servo cooling pans or something like that. They're glowing orange from the heat. And yeah, the back also has some cooling vents there, and you'll see what these are later, but they're really kind of nice greebling and detailing. The ankles, they turn out a little bit thinner than I had hoped, but I suppose they work. Now, onto the arms. Now, these are the parts that really sell defense mech. That is because it's got this dominant arm, extra armor enhancement. Oh, and also these two tandem shields. Yeah, that is what sells defense mech. Now, I was inspired by Soviet Cold War era heavy tanks, where they have this pike nose that deflects armor in a more effective way than the regular sloped armor because it's got an increased armor profile. Now, the main concept behind the mech here is that it would just put these two shields together, and it would create sort of a pike nose like the Soviet heavy tanks, and that would increase the armor profile of the shields so that it would deflect oncoming fire with more efficiency. And now for articulation. The Apollo class uses mixile joints, which are very small and have a lot of articulation into them, so the Apollo class is a very flexible mech. Not with this guy. This guy uses the big balls. Okay, seriously. This guy uses the big ball joints, mainly in the hips, the knees, and the shoulders. Now, those are the major joints that hold up the mech, so it kind of needs the extra strength. But the Aegis class does still have regular mixal joints, namely here in the elbows, and also the wrists right in there, and also the ankles. Meanwhile, the head, it just uses a regular bar clip system, but as you can see, the helmet is ginormous, so it kind of hinders the motion just a little bit, and by a bit I mean a lot. Since this is my MechMOC, it's basically mandatory for me to have the pilot inside the mech. I see it as a very interesting challenge. The pilot connects to the mech via this clip system in the backpack, which clip directly into the bars inside the mech. These bars also provide an extremely strong hard point for the shoulders, since the bars feed directly through the shoulder balls, making it basically impossible to pull the shoulder balls out. Behind those bars lie the fictional power unit of the mech. As it runs on antimatter reactions like the Apollo class, it also has a removable antimatter pack. Although you can see this pack is a bit larger than the one in the Apollo class, 3 wide instead of 2 wide. That's because the Aegis class is not only larger and requires more power than the Apollo class, but it's also older and less efficient. This is the last feature. I guess it's pretty obvious what they are, but in case any of you are uninitiated, the thrusters. Well, this mech doesn't really fly, but they're for jump boosts in case it's needed. Now for a size comparison, unfortunately I didn't bring the Apollo class here to my college room, but I did bring Mr. Harpoon Diver minifig, and also a ruler, placing him at about 21.5 centimeters, or 8.5 inches. And with that, that's about it for the Aegis class mech. Please be sure to rate and comment, and don't forget to subscribe by pressing that button down there, I think. Anyway, this has been Legoformerguy, and thank you for watching.